What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Big Ten football channel. Our 2020 college football predictions continue with the Wisconsin Badgers. Will it be another trip to the Big Ten championship game this year? This team has really dominated the Big Ten West, and I've said this for a while now. Wisconsin is one of the most consistent programs in the country. They're never going to be awful, and they're always going to at least win 8 or 9 games, it seems like. This year, I think, is no different. Yes, they lose Jonathan Taylor, a very, very talented running back, and we don't know who that next guy is going to be. We'll have to wait and see. They have several talented backs on the roster, but maybe some of them not really proven. So a run game will be big for them, but Jack Cohen really threw the ball better than I expected last season, was very efficient as a passer. I think they maybe have to throw it a little bit more this year, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. The offensive line will have to rebuild a little bit, but they seem to always be able to do that. And defensively, most of their starters are back, so Wisconsin is right there among the favorites once again in the Big Ten West. Here is what some of the other predictions look like. The FBI loves Wisconsin. They have them at 10.8 and 2.1, number 4 in the country. Yes, the FBI loves Wisconsin for whatever reason. I don't know why they're that high on them, but they've got them going maybe 10-2 in the regular season. Vegas has the over/under at 9.5, so they're high on this team as well. You either got to go above or under that. That's a pretty tough call. There's several games that I think could go either way on their schedule, and that's what makes it very tough to predict really what this season is going to look like for Wisconsin. We know they're going to be good, but how good is the question. Athlon Sports has them at 9-3, and I do believe they also picked them to win the Big Ten West. We're not going to do any conference championship game predictions today, but this is simply just a game-by-game regular season prediction for the Wisconsin Badgers. Here is the schedule. They open up with Indiana at home on a Friday night. That is going to be an interesting game. Indiana is going to be a good team this year, an explosive offense. I think home field advantage probably does make a difference here. I think Indiana on a neutral field could beat Wisconsin. I think the teams are fairly even. I do think Wisconsin is a little bit better, I just like Wisconsin to win a pretty close game. I don't think they blow them out. I think Indiana puts up a great fight, but Wisconsin does come away with the win, and they also beat Southern Illinois. So they'll begin the season 2-0 before playing Appalachian State. We know this team is one of the best group of 5 teams in the country, and I think they're going to give Wisconsin all they want in this one. I think it'll be a great game, really an underrated game. When you talk about big non-conference games, you don't really think about Wisconsin and App State, but I think this will be a really good game. Similar styles. I think it's a run the football type game, fairly low scoring, but I do think Wisconsin playing at home is just a little too talented, a little too good, and that home field advantage will make a difference, and they get the win there as well. So pretty close games against Indiana and App State, but they do begin the season 3-0 before playing Michigan on the road on September 26th. This is a very tough one for me to call. I'm not real high on Michigan this year. They are going to have a new quarterback. We're going to have to wait and see what that looks like. And they had some other big losses as well. So it's a tough one. I think it could go either way. And usually when I'm split down the middle on a game, what do I do? If you've watched my predictions, you already know. I'm going to go with the home team. That's exactly what I'm going to do here. So I am going to say that Michigan gets this win. Wisconsin suffers their first loss of the season as they lose a very, very close game. I think that will be a one-possession down to the wire type game, and they'll be 3-1 at that point. Now, on October the 3rd, they'll play Notre Dame. This is on a neutral field technically, but it's going to be in Green Bay, so kind of like a home field advantage for Wisconsin, but not necessarily. Notre Dame fans travel well. I think it'll be closer to a 50-50 split. Wisconsin might have the edge, but I think this will be a good game as well. Notre Dame's a team that is kind of in the same ballpark as Michigan for me, but they do have a proven quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks really in the country, coming back in Ian Book. And because of that, I am going to go with the Irish to win another close game. So I think there's going to be a lot of drama on the schedule for Wisconsin these first 5 games outside of that Southern Illinois game. A lot of close games, but I think they lose 2, win 2, and go to 3-2 before playing Minnesota in a game that could determine the Big Ten West. Now, there's some other contenders there as well. I think the Big Ten West is going to be very competitive this year, but this is a huge game and probably the biggest game in the division. Once again, good news for Wisconsin is they get home field advantage in this one. Minnesota lost a lot on defense. I think Wisconsin has a pretty big day offensively, and this is actually, I wouldn't say a shootout, but a pretty high-scoring game. I think Jack Cohen makes some plays late, and Wisconsin gets it done in the fourth quarter. They win and improve to 4-2 on the season at the halfway point. So they get a bye week after that. Not the greatest spot for a bye week. Maybe you'd rather have it before Minnesota, right after playing Michigan and Notre Dame. But no, they'll play 3 very tough games in a row, and then get the bye week before the schedule actually gets a lot easier. But Maryland on October 24th, after the bye week, I don't think will be any real challenge for Wisconsin. Maryland just is a long ways away. They were not great last year, lost some very talented players from that team, especially at the running back position. So I think Wisconsin gets this win on the road, and they make a statement win big before playing Illinois. And we know what happened last year. Illinois shocked us with that upset. Could they do it again? Could they pull off another big upset this year? I do think that last year's game was a little bit of a fluke. If you play 10 times on a neutral field, I think Wisconsin wins 8 or 9 times against Illinois. But it only took that one time for Illinois to pull off the upset. Playing at home, though, Wisconsin, you know they're going to be focused after last year's upset. They're going to want revenge, and I think they get it. I think Illinois is going to be a very solid team this year, but I think Wisconsin is better and maybe a little bit more motivated, again, because of the revenge factor, and they win this game fairly easily to improve to 6-2. Now they're going to play Northwestern on the road. Northwestern's a team that was, awful last year, but they bring in Peyton Ramsey, the transfer from Indiana, and I expect this team to turn it around. I think they're going to get back to playing the way you expect Northwestern to play. They also lost some close games last year. It's not like they were getting blown out by everyone. This is a very tough game for me. This one I was actually on the fence. I was going back and forth, trying to decide, and I plug in all the games for all the teams, and I move games around to try to get the record that I want for each team. And at the end of the day, I had this as a win for Wisconsin. I think they survive. It will be close. I think it'll be a battle. And Northwestern's going to be a much improved team this year, like I said. But Wisconsin does get it done, and they improved to 7-2 before playing Purdue. Purdue is a team that you better not sleep on. They are slowly getting some talent on that roster. They recruited horribly the last a few years ago. I mean, if you look at their recruiting rankings, they were terrible at recruiting. They're starting to get some talented players. Rondell Moore, of course, was injured last year, but he'll be back. They got a great group of receivers. Quarterback position, we'll see what they get out of that. Defensively, I don't expect a whole lot from them, but I think that offense does become really explosive, and playing at home, they put up enough points to pull off an upset. I've got Purdue upsetting Wisconsin here in, again, a pretty high-scoring game. I think the speed and the receivers for this Purdue team are going to make a difference, and they're going to get the win, and Wisconsin falls to 7-3. Nebraska on November 21st. This should be a pretty competitive game. Nebraska's, I thought they were going to really turn it around last year. They did not do that. I still think they're a long ways away from being a contender in this division, but I think they're improved this year enough to make this game fairly competitive. But I think Wisconsin does win it by at least a couple of possessions. Playing at home right after a loss, they're going to be angry. I think they take it out on the Cornhuskers here, and they win this game by at least a couple of possessions. Fairly easy win there to improve to 8-3. Now Iowa at the end of the season, final game of the year. This is going to be an interesting game here. Iowa is a team that most people expect year in and year out to compete for the Big Ten West Championship. Very similar to Wisconsin, the way their programs are ran. The game is on the road for Wisconsin. That's going to make it tough, but I'm just not sold on the young quarterback for Iowa just yet. I think this is going to be one of the better defenses that he faces. I think overall talent, Wisconsin just a little bit better, a little bit more experience, and they have what it takes to go on the road. Remember last year at the end of the year, they went on the road and beat Minnesota. I think they do something similar to that. They go out and make a statement, finish the season strong at 9-3. Is it enough to get to the Big Ten championship game? Well, there's only 2 conference losses here. We've only got them losing 2 conference games, so it really depends on what the other teams do. Minnesota probably the next favorite in this division according to most people, and they're going to have the head-to-head there. So Minnesota would have to go 8-1 in the conference. Maybe I have them doing that. Maybe I have Purdue or Nebraska or Northwestern or one of these other teams surprising and winning in this division. You have to wait and see as we go through all the other teams, but I do have Wisconsin at 9-3, and We'll see. That might be good enough to get them back to the Big Ten championship game. What do you guys think about Wisconsin? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports YouTube channel.